Okay, today I wanted to talk about weather sealing, or the lack thereof, on cameras and whether or not it should make any difference in your buying decision. Now, if you've ever seen reviews online of cameras that are weather sealed, you always see the guy out there, maybe in a blizzard, and there's just snow packing onto the camera, and that thing is just firing away, right? Or maybe they're standing on some rocks and they're getting a picture of a lighthouse, and the waves are just crashing over them, and that camera is just firing away. It's totally awesome, but and I would imagine, that's totally legit. If you got a weather sealed camera and you have a weather sealed lens, and you're out there in those kind of elements, yeah, I believe them. I think the camera would be just fine and just fire away in those kind of conditions. But honestly, for most of us, are we ever really in those kind of conditions? I mean, I'm thinking when I went out to look at cameras, back in August, I looked at this Olympus OMD EM10 Mark II, which is filming this video now. And I was comparing it side by side with the EM5 Mark II, because, I'm going from a D750 to Micro Four Thirds. I'm thinking, I want to have everything in this smaller camera body that I have on my Nikon. And the only difference I could really tell, at least spec-wise, was the EM5 Mark II was weather sealed. And other than that, I mean, they were both Micro Four Thirds, used the same lenses, both 16 megapixels, both 1080p video. I mean, you go all the way down the line, 5-axis stabilization. I know the EM5 has a slightly better one, but I shoot adapted manual focus lenses anyway. $500 between the two. It's like, I really don't want to spend $500 more just because essentially it's just weather sealed. So I got the EM10 Mark II, and I don't regret it one bit, because over time I come to realize a couple of things about weather sealing. And that is, you see that guy out there on the rocks with the waves crashing on him. That's kind of cool, but he's not changing lenses on the field, is he? Right? As soon as you change the lens, look at that. This is one of the problems with weather sealing. You cannot weather seal while you're changing the lens, right? And there's some people that are so careful, even when changing lenses, they hold their camera upside down, or face down, I should say, and put the lens on because, they don't want dust falling into the sensor area, or the mirror box. Or some, and there's microscopic shavings of metal from the lens mount itself that could potentially drop in while you're changing lenses. So, and as a rule of thumb, that's not a bad practice. I'm not knocking it. I think, that's fine if you want to do that. But yeah, that's it for the weather sealing. You have to go out, fully weather sealed lens, fully weather sealed body, and never change lenses when you're out on the field. You're going to have 2 or 3 bodies, each with its own lens. So that's one thing, and that's something, like I said, can be avoided. You don't change lenses, you'll be fine. But the other thing is with weather sealing, and I can't say personally I know people, but I've heard of people that know people that'll tell you there's no such thing as a weather sealed camera. Because when you look at the teardowns online of a camera, and you look at the weather sealing they have, just look, if you have a Samsung phone, just peel off the back battery cover and look at the weather sealing. That thing is some paper thin rubber silicone thing. And if there's the slightest, manufacturing imperfection, you could have a gap in your weather seal, and you could have a defective camera and never know it. So that's one thing. And then every time you push a button or turn a dial, you're putting a little bit of wear on that weather seal. And over time, and probably sooner than later, you're going to break the weather seal. It may have even been broken on just the very first touch of a button. Who knows? You'll just never know, or hopefully you never have to test that. So, you know, that with that and, you know, rubber sealing being in its nature dries out eventually. And that's another problem with weather sealing. So over time, and you know, it could wear out. But let's make an assumption that the weather sealing is designed to last the life of the camera, you know, 200,000 clicks or 400, whatever it is, you know, 3 to 5 years. Let's just make that assumption. You know, you're still not escaping the changing the lens scenario. And you know, there's two other things though that no camera is weather sealed against. And that's heat and humidity. And I'll share with you a personal story on that. You know, think about you know, a can of soda outside in the summer, or a glass of ice water, and that thing is just sweating, right? There's just condensation all over. And that's exactly what happened to me with my camera. I was driving around in my car, and I had the camera and lenses in my bag, and the lens was mounted to the camera, but after about an hour of driving, I got to my destination. I took the camera out of my air-conditioned car, and I went up to take a picture, and guess what? Condensation almost instantly formed all inside the viewfinder and the mirror box, inside the lens itself. It wasn't something I could wipe away. And you know, so immediately I took the battery out and I just put the camera away, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to take pictures, because I didn't want to risk the condensation being bad enough to affect the electronics as well, because there's definitely condensation. If it's in the mirror box, it's in all the electronics, right? So that's what happened to me, and how I, ever since then, said weather sealing just doesn't mean anything, you know, because heat and humidity is always there, at least in my circumstances. And when you look at the Pen F, I mean, it's got all these little nooks and crannies, and it's got these two little microphones up here just facing straight up to collect rain. And it's pretty much, from what I understand, an all metal body. And you know what happens with metal, right? It expands and contracts with temperature changes. So even if they tried to weather seal this, it's, you know, it'd be really hard with all of these dials and buttons going on and being all metal, such as it is. It probably double the price of this camera, and it's already, you know, kind of expensive, right? As it is. So the fact that it's not weather sealed doesn't bother me, because I know that I'm not going to take this out in the rain. And if I do, I'll plan ahead the best I can and bring like one of those clear shower caps, because this has so many dials and buttons on it that you can pretty much access just about anything through a button or dial. You know, aperture, shutter, ISO, without having to go in the menu just to take a picture. So, you know, and bring an umbrella, right? That's probably even easier than a shower cap, because you can hold this thing one-handed and take a picture and adjust the dial. But anyway, that's all I really have to say about weather sealing. Is if you're on the fence about buying a camera, or you want to save some money, just get the non-weather sealed one. Because then you don't have to worry about buying weather sealed lenses. I mean, God, have you seen the prices of the pro lenses from Olympus? You know, if you really want a truly weather sealed camera, you know, something like this, you probably have better luck with. I mean, I've even seen videos of people complaining, or not videos, I'm sorry, reviews on Amazon where people took these cameras out first time, and the sucker died on them and got wet inside. But for the most part, you know, these are pretty reliable. I haven't taken this in the water yet, but when I look at, say, for example, the battery door, look at the rubber sealing on it. That's, you know, that's some thick rubber on here. There's probably more rubber right here on this battery door than in this whole, you know, camera body sealed everywhere. So, And you know, this is drop proof, right? You can drop this 5 feet, take it down 33 feet underwater. They've got 50 feet cameras. So this makes a little more sense to me, even though I'm not going to test its limits either, to be honest. I just wanted something that if I'm out canoeing or, you know, on a raft taking pictures. If you like this video, hit the like button down. It would really mean a lot to me, and I plan on making a lot more videos with my experiences with the Olympus Pen F and some of the other cameras I have. So please subscribe if you'd like to see more. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.